Our webinar today will be moderated by Jaime Lopez Jr. He is a developer advocate working on open banking application programming interfaces. Prior to becoming an advocate, he led multiple software development teams. Jaime is also a co-host of the More Than Just Code podcast. And to relax, Jaime enjoys a nice cup of coffee and conversation on various topics. Ignacio Guerrero is the CTO and Executive Vice President of Products at DeepTarget. He has been with the company for over 6 years. Serving on the executive team, Ignacio spearheads product development and product management. Ignacio has extensive experience in the technology field, and prior to DeepTarget, he led technology and innovation at leading multinational corporations and served as a professor at the University of Georgia and Brandeis University. Derik Sutton is the Vice President of Marketing at Autobooks, and he joined in 2018 as the VP of Product and Experience. As part of the Autobooks executive team, Derik now leads marketing and industry insights for the Autobooks team. In this role, he regularly speaks at conferences and helps financial institutions better understand the small business segment and how to best serve their needs. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Jaime to talk about what we're going to discuss today.
Thank you, Haley. So today's discussion, we're going to focus on a handful of things. We're going to focus on how DeepTarget and Autobooks respectively integrated with Banno using our digital toolkit and how they continue to benefit from the network of financial institutions or FIs on Banno. You're going to get some key takeaways here. So how the Banno digital platform, the digital banking platform that is, facilitates collaboration and growth for fintechs, as well as the benefit from the network of financial institutions on Banno. And you'll get some information on the integration process, including the resources and that critical time to return on investment. And we'll also talk about some of the next steps. So let's, as Haley mentioned, there's going to be time here for Q&A, questions and answers. Chat is unmoderated. Please take a look at the Q&A function, throw in your questions there. We'll pick them up as we have time and availability. And let's start off with a quick poll about your goals for the year. Okay, so if you're a fintech, what are your biggest goals for this calendar year of 2022? Is it recruiting talent, improving technology, increasing profits, maybe growing your market share, or is it reaching a particular target market? So we'll give that a couple minutes here for people to vote. Okay, here's the results. Let me take a look here. I think the number one here is growing market share. Okay, interesting. Pretty close at a number two is improving technology. Got it. And then after that, kind of a equal split on recruiting talent. Yes, that is a challenge for sure. Increasing profit, that's always a good thing, regardless of business environments. And reaching a particular target market, great. Interesting thoughts there. That's actually pretty useful and helpful. And I think a lot of what Ignacio and Derik are going to talk about will probably help answer a ton of those questions that you might have on how they are achieving their goals. Okay, so let's talk, briefly about, we've talked about Banno's digital banking platform that's offered to financial institutions. It's how they manage not only the back office, but also offer that retail consumer user experience. When you want to build on the Banno digital banking platform, there's this thing called the Banno Digital Toolkit. If you're wondering what that is, there's kind of two answers. Philosophically, it's about empowering financial institutions and fintechs to partner together without needing Jack Henry's intervention, permission, or etc. Right? We're offering that to financial institutions to partner with you all, assuming you're a fintech that's sitting out there looking to build cool stuff in partnership with an FI. Mechanically, it's important to know that the digital toolkit is delivered as our open API, and this is the same API that Jack Henry itself uses to build Banno. So it's not some weird side gig thing. This is quite literally the same thing that we are using for the Banno digital banking platform. Let's go ahead and kick things off here with Ignacio talking about a little bit about DeepTarget and its background.
Thank you, Jaime. It is my pleasure to participate in this conversation today. My name is Ignacio Guerrero, and let me briefly introduce my company, DeepTarget. DeepTarget helps financial institutions grow by simplifying digital market, and simplicity is a key element for us. We have over 200 financial institutions of all sizes, big and small, who are engaging their customers digitally and achieving impressive increases in product sales. At the same time, rich and meaningful communication helps the financial institution to create lasting relationship with the digital users and the community. Many of these customers use Banno for online and mobile banking. Through a DeepTarget plugin extension that was created using the Banno Digital Toolkit, we provide 2D and 3D multimedia targeted advertising, including video. Video is a media that is upcoming and growing in the marketplace. 3D Storyteller is a patent technology that is depicted here on the picture on the right. You can think it as an Instagram for financial institution. And what this means is we have a 3D type of graphic representation, and the user experience is through the gestures that are familiar to anyone using social media platforms. 3D Storyteller uses the customer data to deliver messages that are targeted for each user. So as you see in here in the graph, in the picture, the frames that you see are specific for each person, unique to their interests. So that's targeted, completely targeted to the end users. DeepTarget's digital experience platform is a complete digital marketing extension to Banno. And it has broad functionality that is shown in this diagram here. So it gives the capability to create, publish multimedia 2D and 3D campaigns. And it also has extensive facilities for reporting, which allows you to measure the performance of those campaigns. And from our perspective, and I'm sure from the audience perspective, measuring campaigns results is something that is extremely important. Sometime back, I came across a quote that reflects a dilemma for many marketing people. And the quote says, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is that I don't know which half. And this is hard to believe, but this quote is over 100 years old. But this dilemma exists today as well. So the DeepTarget application offers easy to use reporting to track campaigns results. And these campaigns can be taken to loan offers for execution. And we also have facilities to connect to other systems in the enterprise through a data API. And the idea here is to connect to CRM systems or corporate dashboards and display the campaign performance as well in this type of technology using systems like Power BI or Tableau and others. So the data API, we think it as a glue between the DeepTarget performance, results, and the rest of the enterprise systems. And we think it to be an enterprise data connector. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ignacio. Next, Derik, do you want to walk us through a little bit of overview of what Autobooks is and how it's used things?
Yeah, sure. I'll be brief. So Autobooks, we partnered with Jack Henry since 2017, most recently integrated with the Banno Toolkit, really within the past 6 to 9 months. And what we do is we integrate directly through a financial institution's existing digital banking channels, so in this case, Banno, to enable financial institutions to support businesses that need to send digital invoices, accept online payments, and then upgrade to our accounting and financial reporting suite. So our target market and our way to go to market is distribution directly through the financial institutions. So earlier on that poll, talk about growth of market share, speed of innovation, things of that nature. We don't go direct to consumer as a fintech provider. We go through the financial institutions who have the relationships already, and then make our service available to those end customers. If you go to the next slide, Haley, through the toolkit and really the way we like and the benefit we see in going through digital banking is we get to simplicity like this. So our application using the card-based design system for Banno, we can put our most commonly used features right here on the online and mobile banking dashboards. So now when a business owner who typically logs into online banking to check balances, transfer money, pay bills, now they have access to 2 new critical features: send an invoice, accept a payment. They can sign up for that product for free in minutes. 95% of all the invoices sent on the system are paid within 5 business days, which is a huge improvement for cash flow for the business customers. And then as a fintech provider, and maybe the other fintech providers in the room, or even if you're a bank and building something out, we use the initial most commonly used features we have as really kind of like think about it almost like as a loss leader or like just a freemium SaaS solution, where we get the customer into using part of our experience, and then we offer an upgrade path for them to opt into an additional $9.99 a month fee for the paid subscription. So we're monetizing all the transactions that come through, which is great. So we have this wide distribution through the Banno network. But then once a customer gets in and starts finding value in the solution, we can then upsell and bring them additional products and services all through the same delivery mechanism.
Excellent. Thank you, Derik. All right. So I think, so we are starting to see stuff go into the Q&A. That's great. Just ask your questions in there. We'll have time to go through those ones from the audience. In the interim, I think the first thing our audience is going to want to know is, like, how long did it take and how difficult was it? So I think we're going to want to start with Ignacio at DeepTarget, because you were one of the earliest adopters and to go through the process and really helped establish a lot of the procedures we have today.
Yes, Jaime, as you said, we were early adopters of the digital toolkit. In fact, from day one, even before that, we received some early documentation before it became available. So from that perspective, our experience in terms of timeline and time to market is not typical. When we started, we knew that this would be a long journey and that it would require significant experimentation along the way because we were breaking new ground. And during that time, we received excellent support from Jaime's team. And we knew that at the end of this journey, there will be a rewarded end. In fact, today we have a product that seamlessly integrates with the Banno user experience in using the plugin extensions, and the work that we did over that time is paying off. We're able to implement customers very quickly. In fact, we have been able to upgrade NetTele customers to Banno in as little as 5 days, including the 3D storyteller experience. So I would say that perhaps one of the most challenging parts of the journey was dealing with authentication framework. It's something not easy to handle, but I know that Banno's it's trying to simplify things. But on the other hand, it is based on industry standards, so it's not a proprietary implementation. So that helps a lot, because in our case, we benefit from having done some prior projects using the Auth2 technology. So even though the bar is fairly high to learn it, it's not something unique to the Banno implementation. It uses standards, and there is a lot of literature and resources to help you along the way.
Excellent, excellent. Now, in contrast, Derik, do you want to talk about your experience as somebody who followed on a bit later?
Yeah, so I think we benefited from all Ignacio's hard work and his team's commitment to it. So, most of our time kind of was spent, I think, helping you all kind of develop a little bit of the go-to-market, how to maybe partner with vendors such as ourselves to go to market. But really, the way I say it is like, once we got unblocked with all that, as soon as we put fingers on keyboards, it was like 6 to 9 weeks of like just working through it and then getting live. And so I would say, less than 90 days, we were basically in market with a solution. And then really the true benefit and value of it is in doing that work, it wasn't just an ad hoc integration into one singular FI. It literally unlocked us to get access to the entire Banno customer base. And then we were able to embed our solution and kind of go to market with you all in a very unique way, where we turn these features on, those send an invoice, accept a payment. We just turned those features on for every FI. They had access to them. So integrated back into the back office and Banno people. And it really, every fintech vendor on here, I see some questions coming in about what kind of data and can I just get started? What I would say is like, keep leaning in on that, make Jaime answer these questions, because the power of it is as soon as you do that and you build that use case, you unlock access to a wide market that you can get to very quickly. So I like to think about it as the toolkit is basically, it enables better physics inside fintech. So we can basically move through time and space much faster, much cleaner, much better, because things have been unblocked by getting access to those documentations, more data, as Adam's asking about what data is available, getting clean access to that data to be able to write to, and then being able to kind of like control your own future so that you can move very quickly through this quagmire of connectivity that can exist in financial services and financial technology.
Thank you for that perspective. We have seen and do believe here on the Jack Henry side that 90 days is probably going to be pretty typical, pretty average. Really depends on sort of where you're starting from. There's a little bit of a difference if like you have no code at all on your side, and that's not toolkit specific, versus having some existing product that you can adapt. And as Ignacio mentioned, using open technology standards, not our particular programming language or our weirdo stack. You can bring your own tech stack as long as it can talk HTTP over the internet. You should be pretty golden. Let's take another poll here to see about integration challenges, because that's kind of one of the sort of themes that I think people are talking about. All right, so 4 challenges. If you're a fintech, right, and you've integrated with a digital banking platform, and obviously we know and love ours, we are aware that there are many other out there. What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced? Is it time to launch? Is it negotiations and red tape? Is it technical issues? Maybe it's expense and costs for labor or platform fees, or maybe even security and privacy concerns. Let's give a couple of minutes here to let people think about that and answer the poll. Okay, results are coming up. All right, let's see here. So pretty far in the lead here is technical issues. That's interesting. We might end up talking about that. Negotiations and red tape. Okay. Then time to launch. And then kind of separated from the pack and close to each other are expense around labor costs or platform fees and security privacy concerns. Let me briefly talk about some of the differences here, and it might end up being talked about in some of what Derik and Ignacio are going to say. I'm just going to go top to bottom and not in the order because my brain won't be able to keep track of them. Time to launch, as we mentioned, we fully think 90 days, could be as fast as 60 apparently, as Autobooks was able to go through. Negotiations and red tape. So just to be really clear, Jack Henry is providing this digital toolkit platform at zero cost, zero lift to the financial institutions. And then we're not involved at all unless either one of you all wants to bring us in. We don't need to know. You don't need our permissions. That's 100% between you, the fintech, and the financial institution to make those connections and decide what you want to decide. Technical issues, we're always striving to make the platform itself better. And I see people jokingly, lightheartedly heckling about making our docs better. Yes, absolutely. That's a big reason why we get up in the morning. We do what we do on my team. In terms of expense, labor costs, we're really hoping those can be decreased over time. That's why we use open standard technology. We're not making you download our particular SDK. We're not making you learn, Jack Henry programming language or some other weirdo thing. Like, we're hoping that you can reuse what you've already got. And platform fees, well, there's none. You don't pay us at all for access to the platform, right? So that's an easy one to answer. Probably my favorite one to answer. And then when it comes to security and privacy concerns, we can also talk a little bit about the authentication framework. It's based on OAuth and OpenID Connect, technology security standards, they're not our standards. And as those evolve, we are always looking to jump on the latest thing that will increase that security for everybody involved. That's the end user, the financial institution, and fintechs such as yourself. All right. Now let's come back to the panel here. Can both of you fine gentlemen tell us about the business and technical advantages of the toolkit from your perspectives?
Yeah, let me start. One of the the top item in the poll was the technical issues, and what I would like to say is that Banno has done a lot of improvements in the digital toolkit resources, and it continues. I'm sure there are more good things coming up, but there are extensive documentation. There is sample code hosted in GitHub that can be used to code. In addition to that, there is a Stack Overflow forum where developers can ask questions, and it's quite useful. And also the Meetup office hours that is sponsored by Jaime's team, where you have the chance to directly interact with the developers. So yeah, technical challenges there are out there, but there is a lot of help to address them. I would like to perhaps make a comment on the question that Jason has. May I?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. You really don't need a sponsor FI because Banno offers a fictitious FI that you can work and deploy your software, and you can use that before you go to market. So as part of the resource development resources, there is this sandbox, which is like an FI. Like a real FI, but you can use prior to going to real customers.
Yeah, that's true. And if you ever hear us talking about Garden, that is the demo financial institution, and it tries to be as close as possible to offering full functionality. Now, I'll be really clear, like There are places it does not, but we're always trying to increase what its capabilities are compared to like what an actual financial institution would provide. Bear in mind, there are some differences in how a community bank and a credit union might run things. And in this case, Garden runs as our Silver Lake core, if you've ever heard about that, which means it is a community bank, but by and large, that shouldn't matter too much from the fintech perspective. Derik, do you have some?
Yeah, you want to jump in? Yeah, I'm looking at some of the questions, so I'll have my response maybe hit up some of these questions too. So I think the event, so we had to go through a little bit of, like not everything was roses with us, as well. So like we were, right behind Ignacio's group, we kind of went through some of the early cuts and bruises that came from that. But one of the major things that it took time to get was access to the Garden environment that Jaime just spoke about. So the advantage of, and I think I saw a question about like, hey, could we just get access to the docs and start building a use case to show FIs before we actually, get a actual live client? That's what Garden affords you to do, right? Like you're literally building against a Jack Henry core application powered by Silver Lake, using the Banno like live login. It's the environment that the demo team actually goes into and shows off the application. So you have the ability to build right into that environment. You can pull up with an FI, you can show them exactly what it's going to look like to their customer base. So just an extremely nice advantage there. On the business development side, and I know you kind of asked two parts to that question, Jaime, and from our standpoint, like the difference between your platform and others that we've worked with is a lot of it's just the openness of it and the economics related to it as well. And so really the shift change, I think, of the Banno Toolkit that I appreciate the most is on the Banno Toolkit webpage. It has a statement about how you can basically, build compelling experiences to the toolkit so that financial institutions can compete against emerging fintechs and mega banks, something to that effect. We actually, from a positioning standpoint, it actually matches up largely with our company, the way we position ourselves, and would encourage everybody to think through the same thing. Like basically we help small businesses get paid as a company so that financial institutions can stay ahead of the competition, i.e. the competition becoming more and more the Squares, PayPals, QuickBooks of the world that are targeting customers and trying to disintermediate them from financial institutions and also other financial institutions that banks and credit unions have to compete against in their own market. And so from a bank or a fintech perspective, if you can think about the toolkit as the facilitation of that ability, that's really where you're going to find the most success. If you can accelerate the ability for a customer or a member of a financial institution to do something unique and differentiate it through your delivery of your application directly inside the Banno Toolkit or ecosystem, so that it benefits the financial institution to stay ahead of the competition, however they define that, I think that's where you're going to start to find really the magic of widespread adoption, utilization, and really uptake of your app inside of the Banno Toolkit. So economically, us being able to do that basically at no fee is very advantageous versus other platforms that we try to partner with that kind of hold you back from being able to go widely across the market.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think a follow-on question based on what you all were saying there is like, are there any important lessons learned or best practices, et cetera, that you want to share with the fintech audience here, and how they can help themselves grow based on what you all have experienced?
Yeah, I mean, from our standpoint, so financial institution growth has been pretty pretty amazing, quite frankly. So like we went as a company, so we were founded in like late 2016, went to market. Our first integration was at Jack Henry through Jack Henry Silver Lake and the NetTeller application. It took us 3.5 years to get to 120 live financial institutions. The month we launched our integration to the Banno Toolkit, we went live with 300 plus financial institutions, in that month, basically getting access to our app and being able to turn on that widget. And so like, as a company, it's basically just really changed how we go to market. So now we think about ourselves really as less about a B2B sale that we go to each individual FI and more about an embedded solution at the digital partner level that we can then easily make available to financial institutions, across the country. And that's a big sea shift change in how you go to market, the speed you can go to market, and really the ability that you can onboard new FIs and ultimately their end customers. But like being able to turn this on for hundreds of financial institutions on the day of go live, have business owners go in, enroll in the service, and get paid the same day was pretty magical, across those financial institutions. So it's a pretty great advancement for the industry as a whole, I would say.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on this from our perspective. A big advantage is the plugin architecture, because it sort of decouples our extension from the main Banno program and allows us to deliver software as an add-on at our own pace. So this is a similar architecture that is used on browsers and extensions to the browser, right? They don't have to be in sync. And with prior technologies, we had a lot of challenges to achieve compatibility and simultaneous compatibility. I remember times where we had to, with the NetTeller team, we had to sync upgrades to the minute. We had to be on the phone and upgrade at the same time so that we didn't have any service interruptions, because we had to keep the compatibility between the two sides. The plugin architecture solves that issue, because you can, it's a loosely coupled type of system, and you move at your own pace, at your own. You can deploy fixes, improvements as they become available, and you don't have to be waiting for the base to catch up or wait for the base to implement certain capabilities.
Excellent. I appreciate that historical and now current perspective of how Toolkit works. So thank you both. Looking at the clock here, we still got some minutes to go. So I think we want to take some questions for the audience. I have been seeing them start to build up.
Yeah, I think you're about to have a mutiny on your hands if you don't get those questions, Jaime.
Yeah, it looks like most of these are more Jaime questions. So we can start from the top, I guess. Does Banno have a developer network or a professional services offering?
Okay, so I'm a little unclear on what's meant by a developer network. I'm going to take the perspective that you mean something like-minded people around you. So as I think somebody mentioned on the panel here, maybe it was Ignacio, like there is the Stack Overflow official tag, and I think we have a slide later that we'll show you all. It's not a surprise, Banno Digital Toolkit. Search for that on Stack Overflow. You're going to find questions that people have asked, about how they build things. We've also got the monthly Digital Toolkit office hours. So I think it's the second Tuesday of every month. We're there for about an hour and a half. My team and I, we do kind of something live like this, where we take questions live from the audience and help guide you hopefully towards the docs that we currently have, or if we don't, explain them, and then we take mental notes and go try to make things better every single day. Let's see, second one here. Anna Wesley, two questions. What kind of data from Banno is available to a plugin? And can you link from a plugin to a page inside the Banno system? Okay, so if you're looking to cross-reference a user, if you go to jackhenry.dev, by the way, and follow along at home, you can see that we have a card there that says cross-referencing user. This is, besides the security and authentication part, this is one of the key things where the authentication framework shines. So if you want authenticated information about the user, you're going to ask for that as part of the identity token. This is an OpenID Connect concept. There's all sorts of cool things there. Please read the docs on information you get about the user. If you're looking to get information about like the user's financial accounts and transactions and balances and et cetera, that's where the consumer API shines. And that's why we have that on jackhenry.dev on the card that says access user data, I think it says. And you can use those in conjunction with the authentication framework and the plugin framework. So your consumer API is going to have API endpoints that are protected behind OAuth scopes, and you're going to need an access token. So that's where OAuth comes into play as part of this. So that's the first part of your question, hopefully. And the number two, can you link from a plugin to a page inside the Banno system? There are many people who are asking similar topics. So we will take the note and add this and talk with our product engineering teams about ways in which that might be possible potentially in the future. But as it sits today, there is no documented defined way to do that. Okay, I'm just gonna move straight down the list because I don't know that there's a priority order. There's like so much text here.
Yeah, go for it.
From Gord Cagle, what CDPs have you worked with? Segment. I do not know what a CDP is. I apologize. Either one of you individuals know?
Customer data platform.
Okay, that's what the acronym is. Do you have a 30-second explanation of what that is? I am not. They mentioned segments, so like I am not in that particular industry. Do you have a newbie answer?
Yeah, there are companies that integrate data, customer data from various sources, and they use those to drive engagement.
Yeah, we're actually, our app's fully integrated with Segment. So basically every event that we, like a send an invoice event, a sign up event, something about it is like event driven. And then any event that takes place, we log that in Segment, and then we're using that to send out push notifications and things like that as well. So if that person that asked that needs to connect on Segment integration, we can talk to them. I can put them in contact with our team.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Jaime, there is a development question down the line that maybe, if you don't mind, if I could address.
Yeah, which one is it that you're
one from Lewis, the process of when the Fintech is done in the sandbox, how to deploy. Mm-hmm. This is something that, we develop in the Banno sandbox environment, and we were in that case, the plugin is hosted in the Banno servers, and what we have done in our case is host the plugin in our own servers. So when we work with a customer, then part of the integration is to connect to our servers that host the plugin extensions. So the extension is really part of our infrastructure in this case. And this is, again, another element of the loosely connected nature of the applications. There are some security challenges when you do this because you have to deal with cross-domain issues and the like, but we went through those and we have that system up and running.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think one thing to reiterate to especially the fintechs that are out here in the audience. So Jack Henry's providing the platform, but each financial institution controls access to its own institution, right? So if you're working with a community bank, you're working with a credit union, they have that access there. And our documentation is, as it currently stands, quite often written from that perspective because they're the ones who have the power to create test users and generate API credentials, etc. So that will be material that you'll want to link to them as you partner with them of like, hey, whoever your admin is on your side from the FI's side, whoever their administrator that uses our Banno products on the back office, those are the steps they're going to need to take. It may not be something they have typically done, but we're seeing that more and more financial institutions, as they start accumulating all these cool fintech integrations, they're getting the gist of it, and we're always trying to make that easier for them.
Yeah, there is a difference there in that applications that are actually installed on premises would be a little bit different from SaaS type of applications that are hosted elsewhere. There is some additional security challenges to do that.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna take one attempt here at this question because this could go to anybody on this panel, but I think it's directed at Jack Henry. But by all means, if DeepTarget and Autobooks want to mention it, I'm not going to stop you. So Gord Cagle, can you speak non-specifically about competitors in your space and what you offer that's different or an advantage? So I'll take the Jack Henry perspective for our competitors. So one thing we know is that there are competitors out there who might have flashy new stuff, but they don't do it at scale. We have scale with Banno, right? We're doing this sort of integration at scale. When it comes to costs of doing business, we're fully aware that there's at least one, possibly two competitors that come to mind, I'm not going to name, who charge you quite a bit of money just to get access to their docs and their resources. That is not the case here. Go to jackhenry.dev. It's all free, freely available there. And we've got example code on GitHub and etc. The other difference is we are fully aware of at least one competitor out there who requires you to learn. It's not really their own programming language, but it might as well be because their tech stack really says, do you know this programming language? Great. Then you can build on our platform. Do you not know this programming language? You're going to have to go learn how to do it. That is not true with us. So I know that our example code today is currently written in Node.js, and JavaScript is a tech stack. It's because that's our bread and butter. That is just an example. There is no requirement that you use that tech stack. If you're using Python or Golang, if you're using C#, .NET, there is even a web framework for Fortran I learned some couple of years ago. So not suggesting you do, but if you really wanted to, you could build on that. And I don't know, Derik, Ignacio, if either one of you wanted to talk about your competitors.
I don't think so.
Otherwise,
I won't talk about our competitors, but what I'll say is, like what I would say is like, for the Banno Toolkit as a fintech company, and this is no BS, but being able to go directly to the user interface and make our app available, basically just by looking at some docs and getting started is basically unheard of from the other industries, the other solutions. Not only that, it's not behind a marketplace or it's not, around other business terms. It's just direct and easy to go to the FI. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and pretty revolutionary in many ways.
Yeah, I would second that. I think the ability to integrate directly at the user interface level is a big plus for the platform.
Great. Thank you. We've got some more questions. I do want to say that while you're sending in those questions, I want to remind everyone that upon exiting the webinar session today, you'll be presented with a brief 3-question survey. You can share feedback, request more information, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure you do that when you leave the session. So Jason Green, Derik mentioned making features available to the marketplace of Banno, Jack Henry, FI clients. How does that work? Is there a promotional platform?
So I think he's, so I'll take part of it, and then I think you're going to have to jump in, Jaime. But whenever I'm not exactly sure if our deal and like what we did is different than what other FIs. I think reading your site and like what I know about you all, it's not. If you can just get to the docs and start building and have integration, like you can go to market as you see fit, right? As long as you get in an FI to turn on the solution, you're good to go. So from a promotional standpoint, what I would just say is like, you're just gonna have to get with your sales and marketing team and deeply understand and invest in the Jack Henry channel, get to know those FIs, where they get and derive their information from, whether it's be the Jack Henry conferences, monthly webinars, things of that nature. Make pitches to Jaime about like all the good work you've done so that you get featured in a webinar in Haley in that group, so just like work the system as best you can. Once you're integrated in the app, you can take advantage of the data pools from the API and Banno marketing to promote your feature to end customers, or you could, partner up with Ignacio and his team and use DeepTarget to do the exact same thing. So everything's coming together in this industry to a degree, and a lot of it's kind of happening in this Banno platform where you can get to market quickly with your solution, and then you can target these users with the right message at the right time, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, thank you there. I don't know that I have a ton to add there. One of the interesting bits of the way that this is designed is, remember, Jack Henry provides the platform, but we're not involved unless either you as a fintech, or if you're an FI, if you somehow involve us in some way, shape, or form. And for my team, that is most commonly, hey, I have this particular problem. We're like, great, thanks for telling us at the office hours. Thanks for telling us on Stack Overflow. But assuming that everything goes well, and we're fully aware of many cases where it does, and we're surprised to see stuff launched out into the market, we're like, hey, did you know about it? No, we didn't know about it. That's part of the beauty for you all, in that, again, you don't need our approval or permission. From our side, it does make it a little bit challenging. So the question out to you all is that if you have built something that is neat and cool, please, let us know. If you have launched something that's neat and cool using our toolkit, we love to know. And no concrete promises, but obviously, as Haley can attest, we love talking to people about that stuff, including like today's session. Let's see, next question here. Kim Witterman, the slide that shows samples from DeepTarget included 2 pre-approvals. How did that work? What was the offer? Does DeepTarget track work, or DeepTarget work with credit bureaus? Ignacio?
Okay, yeah, the DeepTarget targeting is data-driven. It works using a data feeds that comes from the FI. And so if the FI transmit to us information, for example, on pre-approvals or other criteria to target advertisers, that's what we use. We don't go directly to credit bureaus. We relied on the information that is transmitted to us by the FI. That information, we could set up rules to trigger the targeting. For example, target some products to folks that have a high credit score, as long as a credit score has been given to us by the FI. We have, in addition, we can target by explicit list. So if the FI has created a list of people that are pre-approved for a certain loan, they send us that. If there are preferred rates associated with the users, then we can pick up those also from the data the FI sent in. In short, data-driven from the data that the FI provides to the target.
Cool, good to know. I see Derik typing an answer here, but before that goes away, let me read out from Louis Fratelli, who was mentioned earlier that the Banno sandbox is hooked to a sample Silver Lake system. Is it possible to have a Banno sandbox hooked into a sandbox Scimitar Epicus, which is one of our other cores, system that is provided by the Jack Henry vendor team? So when it comes to what we currently have today, and I'm talking in the here and now, what we've got is Garden, which is built on one of our banking cores, which is Silver Lake. So the short answer is, currently today, we don't have this kind of support. But there are sort of 2 things to keep in mind here. One is sort of it largely shouldn't really matter too much. The way that the API works, there's little to no differences. And where there are some differences, we try to be really diligent about making that clear in the documentation. As a sort of concrete example, a very common use case is, I want to identify this user, not using Banno's identifier, because our user IDs and et cetera are meaningful within the context of our system as an identity provider. You want to cross-reference it to, let's say for banks, the customer identification file number, or CIF, or perhaps for a credit union, a member number is a pretty common way to identify people. We have a custom claim called the unique customer identifier, I think it's called. I'd have to look at the docs, I apologize, it's available. That is smart enough to realize which core you're running on and return to you the value that is relevant to that system. So if you're writing something that works for a bank, you're writing something that works for a credit union, one uses CIF, one uses a member number, that's not meaningful. You'll be looking for that customer identifier that is smart enough to sort of morph itself as need be. Now, the sort of philosophical way of describing this is, while we've got Garden and its Silver Lake core today, as a developer relations professional, there's sort of two halves of what I do. So certainly to my employer, Jack Henry, I represent the developer community. And from the developer community side, I represent Jack Henry. And it's meant to be fully a two-way relationship, right? So we will take that feedback back to our internal teams and, advocate as best we can for, things that will help. But it is useful for us to have in hand and in our pockets when we're talking to our internal teams, what specifically is, your limitation? Like, what is it about, in this case, Garden, that is insufficient for your needs? Because I think based on, and I'm kind of speaking on behalf of Derik and Ignacio here, but I kind of think that by and large, the difference between the cores was not a meaningful difference for you all.
No, for us, it wasn't. In fact, we had lots of customers in similar episodes, and we weren't even aware in between what the core was. I guess we dealt with the interface and the configuration. We was pretty agnostic. That was our experience.
Yeah, same with us as well. When it comes to the access to the data, building the front end piece, all that was the same. There was one little operational thing that was required on the credit union side for some of our go live, but that was kind of not really related to the Banno toolkit and just kind of working on the development of the app and having a demo and use case and all that.
Thank you. I think we're running really close on time. So, we might have time for one more question, but we want to make sure that we can let people know that, if you want more information, of course, jackhenry.dev, please go read the public, open, free docs. Check out the example code on GitHub. We have a brand new plugin framework demo video on the watch the demo button, I think it's called. Please watch that. It takes less than 10 minutes. You could drink your coffee or tea, eat a sandwich, whatever doing that. It's probably the best possible way to understand what's going on, what's involved here. Spoilers, that walks you through more or less the build your first plugin quick start document. So if you're a visual or audio learner, that might be best for you. As mentioned, of course, we've got our monthly digital toolkit office hours. Go to banno.com/events. You'll find the toolkit office hours link there. You can register. You can register for other things that are on there. Like I think our security meetup is on there, if I'm not mistaken. That's quarterly. And the monthly digital meetup. So that's the more, Banno and Jack Henry Digital as like a roadmap kind of thing. Go ask all your roadmap questions there. We're not going to answer them in the toolkit office hours. We're 100% focused on you as developers and answering your technical questions about the digital toolkit. Looks like we've also got some contact info for both Ignacio and Derik if they're willing to share their stories and all of the trials and tribulations they went through with working with the digital toolkit, working with FIs, growing their business, etc.
Yes, thank you, Jaime. Well, with that, I think we can give you back a couple of minutes. But thank you to our panelists for sharing your experience and your expertise. That was super helpful. I want to remind everyone, we will share this recording with you. We will also share those links that were on the previous slide with the recording. So you'll get that in the next few days. And please take the survey at the end. It really helps us. I'm just making sure we didn't get any more questions, but I think we're good. So yeah, thank you everyone. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.